Hello, everyone, and welcome to show number 109 of This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing. I am your only host at the moment, hopefully not the only one for long, Lauren Gray with hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com, and it is our pre-IRMA party. I come to you from Southwest Florida, so as we get ready for what will be an unfortunate event. We get to sneak in the show before it all happens, at least for this week. And next week, we'll see what happens after that. Fortunately, I have a lot of great co-hosts that are with me that are located in different locations. So if I can't make it for whatever unfortunate reasons of disconnectivity and so forth, we have other hosts that will be able to help and move along so that we can always keep our 100% track record of doing it every week now for over 2 years. And it looks like actually Mr. Robert Cole will be joining me very shortly, who was enjoying himself in Washington, D.C., or there in the neighborhood anyway, quite recently. Mr. Robert, how are you this morning?
Mr. Gray, so good to see you. Where are you, in Florida still?
Of course. I'm staying in Florida. We'll see how things go.
You're the second idiot I used to call a friend.
Did you talk to Ed first? Is that what happened?
No, not Ed. I mean, you're down a little bit, getting closer to the coast.
Oh, we'll get the very nasty part first. We're not as bad potentially, and this is only knock on wood because it shifts and moves, right? We're to the left of it, or we'll catch the left eye wall, and if that's the case, we're not catching the right, or the dirty side as they call it, which is unfortunately going to be more so towards Miami and central South Florida. So we'll see. Yeah,
so you'll just get the 155 mile an hour winds, and you know
155 versus 165.
It's not. It'll probably be, by the time it gets you, 135. Nothing to worry about.
Since I've gone through one of those already, it's kind of like, yes, all of them are different, but by the same token, it is nothing to sneeze at. It is definitely nothing. This is going to be one of those ones where I think I was talking to, what was it? But they said, yeah, Texas says, hey, I just had the worst natural hurricane disaster in the world. And Florida says, wait, hold my beer. So, yeah, it's. There's a lot of people I know that are definitely in harm's way. Everybody I know, and that was part of the decision process of all this, is that where do you go? Because you have to literally go out of the state and jog left at best, head back into your neck of the woods maybe. But most people went directly up into Atlanta, and they're going to get some bad weather.
I've been recommending Edmonton.
Edmonton is another wonderful safe spot,
and it's beautiful this time of year. So
it is beautiful this time. Well, actually, you had some rainy weather when you're up in DC. You just attended the HSMAI Digital Marketing Council.
We did, yes. It was a very good session. We have a topic for. I don't know if can I say this. I don't know. We have a topic for the, we think a title for the conference. So conference.
Oh, excellent.
We've got a prospect for a keynote speaker. I mean, we are just, it looks like the thing's on rails. So anyway, yeah, nice. I will put in my pitch for the HSMAI Digital Marketing conference, which is in February. I don't have the exact dates. It's in February, but it had a 95% net promoter score. So you don't do much better than that. You can get a little higher. But
you unflatteringly were part of the original the council for last year's event. So congratulations. Did they corral you into this year's festivities as well as a participant in the subcommittee? Excellent.
Yeah. And Isaac Gerstenstrang from Two Roads is also the chair of the council again. And before he had a co-chair, but you know what? He's thinking he can handle this himself now.
So he went full chair on this.
He got an award too. So I think
I saw that. I saw
Holly Zoba's little way of kind of coercing him. Although they both kind of say that he didn't know that he was getting the award before he.
When you're a chairman, it's never good to say I didn't know this was coming. So we know that's a lie because Isaac's a great. He was a great co-chair. Yeah. He's been a great. Council member for many years, and well deserved that he moved into the co-chair and chair position. I remember when I was chairing the council, Isaac was one of the most consistent, affluent, engaged ones within the organization, and it was a lot of fun to have him always on the calls and always participating into the program. So it's all good stuff that he's in that role now, especially with how much work he's doing with Two Roads and Pablo Torchio now over in Two Roads. So they have a great resource of perspective when it comes to the council. So I think it's all good stuff for it. And I have to thank you also. I don't know whether it was you or Holly. I guess it seems to have brought up that this show, being that we are supporting HSMAI and it was supposed to be supporting digital marketing, came into the conversation of sharing our potential topics list with everybody on the council to see if they want to participate or contribute to it.
Although they will find that we rarely talk about those topics, but that's okay.
We do. Sometimes, no. See, you're missing. It's not that we don't talk about the topic. It's whether it's topics and how far down the rabbit hole one topic will get to us. So
exactly. So.
Yeah, it's easily. We will talk about a topic and several others, but that's where the show notes come in afterwards because for those who may be watching new or what is that I keep a little bit of a time marker as to when we talk about topics, as to when they come through or statements that are made by people or opinions or what have you. And this goes into the show notes under a time cycle. So then when it's posted on YouTube, you can go back and actually listen to the pieces as it relates to your interest, but also on the link that we post the replayer on, then also is the links that we were talking about, as well as the time scale for when we were talking about them. So it gives you if you can't catch the show live and participate, you go to the link and you can at least get to the topics and hear what was said about those topics with the notes and the links that we give to it. So
wait, so you're telling me most people don't listen continuously for the entire 2 hours, taking copious notes about every syllable uttered? Really?
It is a surprise to me.
I had no idea.
It is, and it is shameful that I have to admit that bare truth to it. But yes, indeed. Hey, I actually have to thank you for.
So we aren't exactly snackable content. We're more
no. We're feastable content. We're gorge yourself to your blow up content.
We're more like I don't know if you ever saw the Beatles movie Magical Mystery Tour. But there's a section where John Lennon in costume as a waiter is shoveling spaghetti onto a table. Yeah. Yes. So I think we're more like
that or the Monty Python's Holy Grail. We're only away for our theme. Either way, we have actually you to thank for most of the topics today. I had a couple of catch-alls that I didn't throw out to everybody because you had done such a great job of showing up a top 10 happy thought list for newsworthy items.
And I have even more that I could add. Because it's amazing how you can just the breaking news.
Yes, very much so in that sense to it. But with that in mind, because I'm going to turn over our YouTube audience to a public audience. So give me a moment while you tackle, since it's a you and I show right now. And I didn't expect, Ed is located in Orlando. I talked with him yesterday. He has besides a business to lock up, which I can appreciate, he has a larger one to lock up. He also has a very nice and beautiful home with a very large pool area. So he has family coming over and staying with him and everything else. So he's in the mix of what everybody else in Florida right now is. Should I stay? Should I go? Now that the decision's made, now that I'm staying, I got to get loaded up, locked up, and all the other fun stuff to it. So and
I think we can describe the others as fair weather hosts. I think that's probably
no. See, Tim, I got to give him a pass because after what you did with the Digital Council, which you can't believe me how arduous the decision was for me not to go, but I knew I wouldn't be able to fly back today, which is when I was going to come back. Because
we did have a lot of fun talking about you with you not present though.
So. Well, see, that was my gift. That was my gift. I gave 3 gifts. I thought 1, you stayed on time, which boom, right there.
Yes, we did.
Okay. 2, you didn't go down many rabbit holes, although there's you still there, so we know that still went that way. And the third, we didn't go as many rabbit holes. And the third is that I get to be fodder for most of the he isn't here to defend himself, so let's just volunteer him for everything.
That's right.
But no, they had the America's Board afterwards, which was also a very big deal. I mean, you get to attend the 90th birthday party, which I saw from pictures and so forth, looked like a lot of fun. And then yesterday and today, it was actually a 2-day session for the America's Board with the Foundation Council to get together because they're rechartering the HSMAI organization. Mm-hmm. And so that was a thing. So I know Tim's still there. He should have wrapped up or will be wrapping up in the next 20 minutes, supposedly, according to the original schedule. So I'm expecting him not to be here today. And then Stuart, I will say, though, Myrtle Beach is pretty far away, Stuart. So this helping our clients get ready for the storm thing email you said, I don't know.
Myrtle Beach could be pretty ugly, though, depending on how things go. You're on the wrong side, and that storm surge and the concave nature
24 hours from now, it's going to be ugly here. Right now, I mean, it's sad to say, you're looking at things. We're packing
it's probably
things,
beautiful.
The weather's gorgeous, but when you're going through your inventory of things, it's like, that can go away. That can be destroyed. If that window blows out, then these electronics are gone. Mm-hmm. what you have is small waterproof bags that if you had to, if your roof peels off, that you throw in the car and you have it all prepped and set. So it's sad to say you have to plan like that, but that was the choice by staying. So that's the negative. The positive, you contributed to 99.99% of our topics today. So Mr. Grab Bag, grab what you want to start first chatting about while I turn on the YouTube public button so that we're not just keeping it a private link build only here.
Oh, I see. So the YouTube people have missed all this fascinating discussion. Well, there you go.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So
it's an annual function I have to do to make it live. So which one do you want to talk about first?
Actually, I'll just start at the top. We're talking about the weather and the hurricanes. Really my recommendation for a great website to kind of cut out all the sensational stuff and just focus on the science and the reality of what's happening and the unpredictability of these hurricanes is Dr. Jeff Masters' website, which is called Weather Underground, or you can find it Wonderground, WUNDERGROUND.com. And actually, I'll post the link to their Category 6 blog. So they go through all the different aspects of the storm, of all the factors. Surface temperatures, wind shear, steering currents, you name it, brushes with land. And it gets kind of geeky, which I personally enjoy, but it really does tell you here are the variables here, and this is what the problems can be. And you read that, and you learn you should take this very, very seriously. I mean, they're talking about relative humidity in the air and things like that, and and you'll get groups going, this will be the worst thing ever, and they go, no, it depends if it's on this side or that side, but this particular storm really comes down to steering currents. So let me throw this into the chat.
Did you happen to notice that we are on a quasi new?
I did. Yes, I did, and I'm trying to find out where you do this. So yeah, I don't know if the chat pops up anywhere, but I guess
it does. It's in the chat window. If you look to your north-south rail on the right
side.
I
can. I'm not sure on the show if it pops up anywhere.
Yeah, it does. It came up through. Yeah, this is the new HTML5 version of the show, which I went through a $900 expense to get this live.
Whoa! Oh, well, boy!
Because they went over and canceled my account, wiped out all the previous episodes by mistake. Then gave me a link to renew the account, which was to their alternate account, which was in itself $300. Then from that mistake, reloaded this account, which cost me $300, but created a new account, not the old account. And then I had to spend another $300 to get the old account loaded on. So I'm in contention of a few charges right now. Yeah. So it's behind the scenes happiness of, you did what with what?
and as we are a practical example of, please never be on the bleeding edge of any technology.
That's right. That's right. I will be making next week's show today, and I'm going to be sending you my login credentials for it so that should I still be out of power, which is a very high likelihood, or internet or thereabouts combinations, at least between you or Holly. And now Holly, I will say, where is she? Where's Holly?
She did send a note. She's I think she's on a plane.
She's on
which
the way
I think
back
would
now.
be very annoying to have somebody on this broadcast with
on the plane. You've tried it. Tried it.
In a car, not on a plane. Actually, I think they block most of the streaming stuff on the.
Wait, didn't you? Or was it me? I forget. I was trying to chat or something with it. Anyway, I thought we had tried the plane version already, and it was.
I've tried it in the car. It's rough. If you're changing cell towers, it's not going to be working.
Yeah, it keeps blinking you in and out. Anyway, so off the weather stuff, because gosh knows I'll be talking about that forever for the next week of my life.
Right. Okay. So the first topic is a personal one. There is no link to it. It is a personal experience that I had.
Is this an axe grind? Is this an axe grind for you?
Oh no, this is a great example for the travel industry, as Rafat Ali at Skift would say, hate selling. But this is a little, this is like the epitome of nasty policies of new travel, or nasty new policies of travel companies. So we've railed here against hotel resort fees and things like that, and certain practices that aren't exactly we feel, the most ethical things that you can do with your customers. But I went to the HSMAI I'm thinking I wound up flying. I got a really low fare into DC and had a meeting the day before. So I flew into Washington National, and that's where I rented the car. And I was thinking I was going to fly back out of National, and that's all fine and good. So rented a car, 2-day rental. Can't say enough about dollar rent a car, midsize SUV. $35 a day, total $93 for a 2-day rental, something like that. That's great. So the day before I came back, I decided, you know what? Hey, I can catch a nonstop flight from Dulles straight back to Dallas. Why go back to DCA and get a connection and things like that? This will be better. So I figured, instead of just dropping the car at Dulles, because it's in the same city, right? It's all under the WAS airport code. If you do a IATA-based, airport search. I'd just do that, but I thought, you know what? I'll call them in advance. They go, well, there will be a $10 fee to change your drop-off. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay. And considering I'm like 5 minutes away from Dulles and 45 minutes away from National, so that's fine. They go, and there will be the change in the rental amount. I go, oh, really? Oh, I didn't realize that was a new policy. What would my new total be? And there was a little pause while they said $508.43.
Oh my!
So going from $93 to $508 purely to drop the car off at literally a neighboring airport in the same city. Dollar wins the award of just being total assholes who I will never rent from again. Thank you. And since they're owned by Hertz, maybe I won't do that either. And so that is going to be my torch and pitchfork, because I then, being me, decided, well, gee, let's look at what they're renting on the following day. Are they out of those cars? Are they? Right. No, they were not out of the cars. They were not renting them that incredible. Yes, they were higher, $58.
They were not out of eggs, Sam. I am.
Yeah, exactly. So this was just purely a malicious policy, right? Just, hey, here's somebody who needs to change this for whatever reason. We got them, and Lord only knows what would have happened if I had just dropped the car off at Dulles, right? Because I had a 6 a.m. flight, so I'm dropping off the car at 4:45 a.m. Now, when I did that at DCA, there was just basically a security guy checking the mileage. He couldn't give me a receipt, couldn't do anything. Oh no, they aren't really here, but I'm the guy who checks it in. They'll have to email you a receipt, stuff like that. And so I would have just done that and then just whack. And
until you got your credit card bill.
Yeah, and go, I think there's been a mistake here. And they would go, oh no, you did this, and look at such and such.
And you did that. And
if you looked on that folder, they put your rental policy. It's in there on the third fold. If you look at the bottom down there, So really, really, really nasty policies. So.
Wow.
F you, dollar is my perspective.
and you know what? This will be our mantra on the show for the next few weeks, just till you feel better about the fact that they were trying to screw you over. But I learned that lesson in a few ways, and this is even when it's quote unquote somebody else's money. I mean, obviously, when you travel for corporate interest or a larger company, you're less inclined to be scrutinizing some of these variations. When, as Robert can attest to just now, when you're doing your own company, you keep a very close eye on exactly where nickels and dime pens. I
generally use the same policy when I travel for clients. Just so you know, me compared to Lauren, who apparently is admitting that knows grossly
when it's somebody else's bill. Robert doesn't pay attention to none of this. No, when you're doing corporate travel, corporate credit cards, so forth and so on, and you're traveling around, you're looking for opportunistic deals. It's not as if you stop doing that and you're looking for, but if you're being told to be somewhere and you found the best that you can find to get there, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And yet there are times where it's like, okay, you got delayed. And if the company says, hey, stay an extra day, you don't go and say, oh, well, let me check and see if I can afford this, or whether you realize that, hey, as a client in reverse, this is going to cost extra different on travel expenses because this is a big change, like your $99 to $500 kind of thing. Yeah. But I went over and was 15 minutes late on dropping off a car because I was in line. This was in San Francisco.
Oh, you
And
must have
I
been
was
over
supposed to,
29 minutes late because that's the new. That's
well,
also
by the
the new
time
window.
they post stamped it,
Yeah.
and they were saying, well, you're 15 minutes late. And, I said, well, and I'm trying to look at but I got a whole another half day charge out of it and everything else. And then there was it was just, I'm sitting there going, where'd this bill come from? Because they at least gave me the receipt. And I'm looking at it, going, whoa, where's this? And finally, just trying to talk to him was like, look, you have a line out the parking lot here. I was here on time. In the
Right.
sense I was here. Now you couldn't check me in on time, which is not my operational. I mean, I went off
Right.
on this terrain anyway. So, but yes, to the point is that those things can happen. And if you're not like you do, look at it and say, wait a minute, let me ask these questions. Then you can find yourself in a very bad $99 to $500 cost. So yeah.
Oh yeah. And the rental car companies, it's not like these things are published. The standard practice was always you had an hour grace period after, yes, you were in from 10 a.m. You had to have it back by 10 a.m. But they'd give you until 11 in case traffic, unanticipated sort of thing. That grace period is now 29 minutes. And so you go 30 minutes and it is pow. So, and generally the rental car companies, it's 1/3 of the daily rental for the first 3 hours. So if you're 2 hours late, that's 2/3 of the charge. And if you're 3 hours late, you're paying for a whole nother day. So they're doing a lot of those things. Also rental car companies have, which for years, which I always thought actually honestly was a stupid policy. It was always a reservation, but they did not require your credit card, just nothing, and you cancel. And a lot of people, I mean, I know, admin assistants to CEOs whose policy would be to book every rental car company for the guy's car type, and then he just picks one because he could never remember book or Hertz or Avis or which one to have the car. He'd just walk, and it was basically just walk out, grab a car, and there was a reservation for him. Is part of the rewards program of all of them, and just go, and the other four would just go poof with no penalty. So they're now starting to hit that as well, where you've got to cancel 24 hours before, and not all of them, but it's getting there because again, once you consolidate down to 3 major rental car groups, Dollar Thrifty are owned by Hertz, Alamo National are owned by Enterprise, and Avis Budget, and I'm trying to think who else they have. They've got a couple others in there. So it's everybody's now rolled up together to the big 3, and they are now turning the screws. So in some cases for good things in terms of, yes, they should be able to manage better. And if people do have a reservation and don't show up for it, that makes perfect sense. They could have rented that car to somebody else at that time frame. And again, the difference with the hotel industry is you're playing hours and minutes on the thing, because if you don't have, you may be able to rent the car at 3 in the afternoon, but if you don't have it at 10, those can be important. As also weekend rentals as well, where those start at noon on Thursdays. So whenever you're on your little default air search, one of the things to look at, just a quick travel tip, is try to arrive after noon on a Thursday. If you have flexibility of if the flight's arriving at 11:59 a.m. or 12:01 p.m., take the 12:01 p.m. because all of a sudden you'll get a weekend rental, and all of a sudden your car rental will be 1/3 of the price of the midweek.
And also keep in mind too, renting local versus renting from the airport, because you have the airport tax to it as well. I found at one time that it was more affordable to arrive and Uber over to a local car rental.
Absolutely. Yep.
And grab the car from there, and then just drop it off and Uber back. That combination of cost was still less than me just getting the car conveniently at the airport when I left.
But again, you have to be, with all of this stuff, you have to be careful with it, because sometimes those locations are closed or whatever when you're dropping off.
Hourly drop-offs and things like that they're not going to take the car.
And some of them have weird terms. They go, well, where's your insurance card? And they're like, what? We need to see your insurance card. If you don't have your insurance card, it's an extra $100 or something. Some sort of odd charge. And you go, really? So again, you just have to look at.
And it goes on. It goes unsaid also for international travel too. Even more so, you need to actually communicate with the place you're going to understand what it is they're going to be looking for when you're standing at their counter.
Yeah,
And
international driver's license, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you don't have one of those, that's not.
And certain countries that you can't bring that vehicle into, especially in the EU.
Oh, yeah.
There's certain countries that you can't drive that vehicle that you're renting in one country over to another country. And if it is,
Right.
no insurance coverage, no nothing. You pay for everything out of your pocket, plus any penalties associated with it. So, anyway,
Yeah. Just wait for a hard Brexit, and you're in Northern Ireland trying to drive to Ireland or vice versa, and then you can't take your rental car. So I don't think it will get to that point, but yeah,
it's entirely possible. All right, so which one do you want to do? You just want to go down the list of this with the Airbnb conversation?
Yeah, I mean the Airbnb. Next one was lessons from fellows product manager at Airbnb. Whoops. Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, basically it's the lessons learned scaling Airbnb 100x. Right. So that is always, whenever I see something like that, not just a hypothetical philosophical article, but someone who's done it, you should probably pay attention. So I think they had four major goals, or five points. And the first one was, when jump starting a marketplace, set super specific goals, then do whatever it takes to get there. And boy, having done a couple startups, I cannot agree more. When you have a particular burn rate, you have limited resources, and maybe you're in your seed round, you've got to be focused and super specific. I mean, everybody kind of really looks at minimum viable product. If you want to get the least product that still the market will accept in there running, start getting some revenues, prove you can do it, and that certainly does help you get further rounds and a little momentum. But boy, you do have to be super specific. You start trying to boil the ocean and you will join the dead pool instantly. Sort of thing.
It's kind of funny that this article, when I read it, when you sent it over, which I thought was great, thank you, also reminded me a little bit about racing. And I only say that because as I was here to give a wrap up to the weather conversation we were doing, the generator that I carried out to me with Dallas. And when I was in Dallas, I was pretty good about treating it the same way I was here in Florida, which is every year I'd fire it up, make sure it ran, except for the last year, because we really hadn't used it. And for all things considered, I hadn't really bothered with it. So I sat in the side of the garage for a long time, dragged it with us down here. Went to fire it up as soon as we understood the storm was coming, at least in our direction at the time, and it wouldn't run. I'm like, oh crap, my generator isn't running. So I found a mechanic on Facebook who was a motorcycle mechanic that says, hey, look, if your generator isn't running, I just want to help you, $30 and I'll get it all cleaned out and get it fired up for you. I'm like, awesome. Yeah. So I looked it over to him and we got talking. We found out that he used to race motorcycles. I used to race motorcycles. Well, the reason why I'm bringing this all up is because in this story here, the way you look at the Airbnb article, for those, if you click on the link, there's a great animation to this. And one of the things it points out is when you start getting into market fast, go faster, go quicker, keep going, just drive it forward. And we were comparing racing stories as we're talking as he's fixing the generator. And I used to do flat track, and flat track is all about 20 guys trying to get to where one guy can actually make the turn.
Exactly.
Incredibly short distance.
And to hell with everybody behind them or next
to him or in front of him or anything. If you're shooting the slot is what you're looking for, is that one prime slot to go through. NASCAR is not so much that. Of course, immediately they thin out and go line to line and so forth. But all too often you could tell by your fellow racers who was a pocket racer, who was, look, I'm not going to hit the because it's the most dangerous aspect of the race is the beginning of the race.
Right.
And there was people that had the huevos to just drive at it and literally run over a fallen bike if it came to it. Yep. And then there was, and I don't say that's huevos because it's never going to hurt somebody, but over the bike, they run over the bike. And there was those that say, look, I'm going to let those people
over the body. It happens to be there.
I had never ran over a body, never, ever. I fell before I hit anybody. But if once you get into this line, there's also the probability that the aggressive racers up front will knock each other out. So there's what's called a pocket racer, which is like, look, I'm going to play the odds that these guys are going to take each other out, and then I'm left in front. Right. So the same with this is that Airbnb was not that pocket racer. The Airbnb was brass on. I'm going to go for that one slot, and as soon as I get it, I'm going to keep going as fast and as hard as I can, as if I was still going for that slot. And it was funny because he was talking about the same thing when he was doing road track racing. Is that for the bikes? It's like the same thing. When you all gate out, it's boom. You got to go for that one spot to make the corner at the highest speed. And Airbnb did that. They went over, and people were mystified by them for the first 2 years. Like, it was a buzz thing. What's Airbnb? Are they in your market? How much inventory is it? There was this mystery conversation to them. And all of a sudden it pops up, and what they didn't know at the time was that they were not as much anywhere near the threat that they were being discussed as, the rumors that are being created for them, than the reality of their impact on the market. It was just the buzz around them was more impactful than the actual inventory in those particular markets. Now the inventory is in those markets. And so their worst fears was realized, and what the part was is that they actually contributed to it, because when they could have really acted or reacted in a way that would have dampened Airbnb's growth in their particular market, they were actually amplifying them by talking so much about them, or fearing them, or dismissing them even. Whereas, oh, that's nothing, we're not going to worry about those people, and allowing them free reign to do what they were doing. So in an inadvertent way, to look back, they actually helped Airbnb. They gave them that breathing room to continue to run as fast as they could. So I thought it was a cool article. And
in business, and in particularly the travel business, I don't know a lot of groups who've been very successful pocket racers. Right? When you're doing a startup and your business model or your success depends on other groups doing whatever, and you're just going to tuck in behind them, boy, one, that's really risky, because if they're the ones driving forward, you can get left in dust, but B, you're going to have unless you have a whole bunch of capital that you have, and this is something that you're passionate about, and you don't care about being profitable. If you're running a philanthropy instead of a business, nobody's going to give you their money, because they don't see. That's one of the big drivers of investment is this person passionate about it? And is this just a job in a business, and they want to go exit and get rich, or do they really want to build something and change the world in their little way? So that's a huge one. The second one was be willing to take a risk to serve your community. Now, this one I thought was a little bit interesting, because Airbnb was doing the first. They were very focused. They were charging full ahead, but then they had this big. They described it as a media firestorm, right? Which was the people's homes getting trashed, and horrible hosts, abusing the guests, and horrible guests abusing the hosts, and things like that. But they reacted. They certainly had some problem. They did have a real firestorm on their hands. But then they went out and they figured out, we've got to get insurance for the hosts. That is the bottom line thing. This is expensive. It's not part of the business model, but let's do it. And they worked through it, because these were very rare circumstances. And to get paid money to prepare against something that may be really bad, that probably won't happen, is what insurance companies do, as you are probably very aware, sitting in Florida right now.
We reviewed our policies to the nth detail to make sure that everything was just fine with what we had. Yes.
That's right. So again, and they did things where they backed it themselves and stuff. But again, they had some interesting backing. But I take that recommendation more as really being customer oriented and looking at your community to take risks, to err in the side of the favor for your true consumer. Who is paying money for this service? Yes, you have investors who've given you money to do something, but who is your customer who's paying you? And if you can do some risks that help them, that is where you need to be taking the risk, to err in the favor of the traveler or the guest. I think is the best way to go.
And again, as we've said on the show, and Ed has been adamant about, and all of us have been adamant about, if you take care of your guests first, if you focus on whom it is that you're doing business with and making them the priority, then these are the things that come out of it. It's like, hey, look, we're not, and to Airbnb's point, their hosts were their client too. They were having to take care of their client, which is they're being exposed unfairly, which means it's going to hurt our actual business relationship model with them, that they're going to be unwilling to give us inventory because they're at risk of these things happening that are now making the news. So this third article, I really liked it until I started seeing who they were crediting the content to.
Oh, wait. Well, let's do the other. There are just a couple more points on the Airbnb.
Oh, okay.
Little sub point. When a competitor appears, move faster than you think you possibly can.
Right.
That's very good. I would also caution, don't move faster than your infrastructure can support. You do not want to crater your infrastructure. And I've seen, Pegasus did that when they took over the Orbitz, taking up hotels for Orbitz, and they're on a new XML interface versus their ASCII interface. And they were down. I don't think anybody could book a hotel in Orbitz for 3 days. And Orbitz had outsourced completely all of their hotel processing capability. That's not a good situation. So number 4 was, when it comes to edge cases, understand your tipping point, because they'll bury you at scale. So when you start knowing about these inefficiencies and things like that, you go, yeah, we aren't worried about that because we're focused on these small things and the minimum viable product, and this is great. But all of a sudden you start getting to these edge cases which start rearing their ugly head. Things like customer service, and the numbers of hotel, they aren't staffed for any sort of customer service or call center or chat. They hear chat's a good thing. They build a chat bot, but it doesn't handle all the situations. They don't have enough staff to respond to things live. And then all of a sudden you wind up in the, in the spiral of, oh my gosh, we've got a ton of costs. This is now killing our burn rate, and it's not producing any new revenue. That can be really, really, really rough. And then finally, the 5th one is, when the fires are out, don't rest. Focus on streamlining the user experience. And I look at that one as really the golden one, especially for Airbnb. Yes, you've got to focus, you've got to have strategy, you've got to put out the fires. But when you aren't doing that, user experience, again, it's that customer focus. That is what you have to focus on. They're the ones who are paying you. What can you do to treat them better? And if you can treat them better, where all of a sudden that user experience helps them spend more money with you, that's the virtuous cycle you want to develop, sort of thing. So anyway, I thought those are excellent real world examples from this little business that is now scaled to have more, depending on how you count it, inventory than these large hotel groups. So,
well, that had a lot more credibility than the story. Because the story started good, and they started referring these obscure resources in them. It's bad enough it's Skift, although Skift has got much better. But then they start touting out these people that you don't even know what credibility they have. This cheetah dude, I don't know.
Let me tell you, the geniuses, the absolute genius of the individuals who Skift in this particular case, wanted to really get a true expert to talk about things. Sometimes you just read the headline and you know who said it, and well, there you go. That's all you need. You don't even have to read anything. So anyway.
Although there was some outstanding points, but it's kind of like statements like, it's like, duh, yeah, because they are so bad. There are so many bad apps. Either they went haste to market just to say they had one to check the box, or they really dedicated themselves and can't get out of the hole they're in because they're so unique in their dev that they can't reconstruct what should be done, and they're stuck with just a absolutely crap platform of engagement that would cost them astronomical amounts to retool. So what some of the things you had?
The L2, the Skift thing features me. They called Deanna, called me up, gave me well over literally 30 seconds notice to see this research. Nice. But one of my, I'm a big fanboy of Scott Galloway at L2 Inc. They produced some research on the mobile space and hotel mobile apps, and there are just stunning, absolutely stunning revelations in that research. And actually, I should go pull up the actual research report very quickly, because some of these numbers, which weren't mentioned in the article itself, but let me highlight them. Let me highlight them here. Whoops, maybe I thought I had this saved for easy access. L2 mobile.
Technology can be our friend.
Oh, there it is. Yep, I got it. Enemy. Well, no, there it is. Sorry, I saved it in a slightly odd place. Okay, so the interesting thing was, they looked at all these different hotel mobile apps, but the most startling one was they looked at really the function, 3 core sets of functionality during the stay, right? Being able to communicate with people on site, the booking process, and loyalty. So these are hotel apps that only did one of those functionalities, right? They didn't do anything else. That was all they did. 39% had in-stay functionality. 29% had booking functionality. Only 3% dealt with loyalty, which I thought was a staggeringly low number. I mean, because the people who use, if you get someone to download and actually use your mobile app, boy, they are probably a loyalty member. At least everyone that I've done work with on that is the target. Your most loyal guests who are most engaged with you, and these apps don't do anything with that, which is just a criminal strategic gap. There. So then they looked at apps with dual functionality, ones that would have booking and in-stay. Well, only 17% of the apps they looked at did that. And you're like, less than a fifth. That's really horribly bad. And then you got loyalty and booking, that's like 8%. Yeah, that's horrible. But the worst one was universal functionality, right? Because you kind of figure as a guest, you've downloaded an app, hey, you want to book through it, you want to, when you stay, that it would be beneficial. Hopefully it would be good from a loyalty perspective, so you'd keep it loaded on your phone and keep using it. 6% of the apps were functionality that supported all three. I mean, and you just look at that and go, that is absolutely, insane to be that, that low of penetration on what people really, need. So, yeah, it's anyway, the L2 thing, you have to pay for the actual research, unfortunately, so you can't dig through there. But yeah, these sorts of things. I mean, the bottom line. I mean, how frequently the apps were updated was, again, it was staggering. That what did they have? They have a category called left for dead, which is there was no app update in 2016 or 2017. So at least 18 months with no app update.
That's two OS changes just there, with the third one days away.
Yeah. So that wound up being 63 of the total number. Okay. Stale were last updated in 2016 at some point, right? So that's anywhere from, I don't
December
know.
To January.
Six. Well, and this was done in the middle of the year. So, 6 to 18 month range, 106 out of those. So if we're running a total, that's now 169. How many were fresh that were updated, in 2017? 110. So that's kind of a 2/3 to 1/3 were even updated this year. And then 32 had been launched actually in 2017. So it was interesting. They also went through some stats of how many updates per year. The fresh ones got 4.8 updates a year. And then, stale ones, 1.4, 0.8 for Left 4 Dead and things like that. So, but then the most startling one was average app what the rank was in the App Store. And you go, well, okay, the new ones are going to be new, so their average rank was 302. Even the fresh apps for hotel apps, average rank 466. I mean, not if you're stale, you're at 583. If you're Left 4 Dead, you're in 1,000. But yes, those are horrifically bad rankings. So basically what they said, basically 90% of the hotel brands, maintain a presence in the App Store, but only 14% of them ranked in the top 1,500 apps in their native category, like travel. So that's really bad. The update frequency is bad, and search ads appear against 94% of unbranded luxury hotel queries, but the majority of index brands are not yet engaging in paid tactics. So the ones with apps, yeah, you kind of get listed, but nobody's advertising on it.
Right.
It's just really an ugly.
I just for fun on some other stuff, because I have way too many. I have over 2,000 apps, and most of my phone is stored.
What do you have? 128 gig?
Yeah.
256 gig. How many gig do you have on your phone?
Just so you know that I am just not making a number up. I will show you my Pandora's box of things. Okay, so a phone starts out. Oh, now we have folders, more folders. Lots of I gave up on folders. There's more of those ones. There's some of these ones. There's those ones. and it keeps going. Look, there's still more dots. Just on and on and on.
Oh no, I got folders and groupings. Groupings are, well, they're the same as folders.
Yeah,
and
but
Android.
I mean, to my point, I went into my hotel folder because I had a hotel folder app still of hotel apps, and all of them except for the Marriott app that I had extracted in the Hilton, I had extracted out of that folder. Where they pop up in iOS now will tell you this app needs to be updated to run in the new iOS system. It's slowing down your phone, and it's like, okay, talk about the kiss of death. So even if I was a loyal user, or if I even wanted to use it for the functionality, it doesn't function. And secondly, the phone's telling me that it's so out of date, it doesn't even work really well, and it's going to be slow to even get used. So not a good thing for it by any stretch of the imagination.
No. Well, and here how different people organize their phones. This is my travel page, on it. You can't, but here at the top, I've got a little folder, and so we've got airline, hotels. I think those are OTAs.
I started with that optimism. I have my airlines folder. I have my hotel folder. I have my rental car folder. I have my OTA folder, and then I have travel tools. That all started that way.
Well, I have everything on that handbasket. Great, and the stuff that I have to deal with, frequently. So, I use TripIt aggressively. I use TripIt a lot. I've got Open Table, Starbucks in the airport because I want to stand in line before.
And I know that you use TripIt well because I keep getting notified. Robert Cole is on a trip to DC.
Oh, really? Those are turned on, are they?
Yes, they are. I know everywhere you are, but I think you might also know everywhere I am. But okay, so moving on to some topics of the Oracle one was interesting. I don't know if to be honest with you, I got another maybe 15 minutes of mine. You, Robert, honestly, can continue the show. I can make you the admin to continue on, and you can have the Robert hour. Honestly, you deserve the Robert hour. Oh, I would. I would go back and write the notes for the Robert hour.
Actually, well, we can go quickly here through the rest. Oracle Hospitality Summit. They quoted me again. Sean called me up from Skift, which was that. So I was quoted. I just kind of buried that, but it is actually interesting. I'm going to the Oracle. There's an Oracle meeting next week. I'm headed back to which will be interesting to see if they hold it. It's in. Kind of near Maryland, kind of DC, Maryland.
It should be all right.
I figure we could, but I don't know. We'll see if they hold it.
They canceled the Toyota conference I was going to next week because it's Miami. So no reason to have it when nobody's going to be able to show up there. But anyway, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see what they're doing. But yeah, it's interesting what Oracle is, how Oracle behaves versus the other. My point was that in the hotel space, you've kind of got these, especially when you get to these PMSs, you've got Oracle doing really amazing kind of enterprise stuff, right? Where you can tap in. Oracle provides the applications, they provide the infrastructure, they provide the platform, and that's great if you're big and you're established and you've got fun and you want to tie all this stuff together. But then you've got the other side. So I look at just outside of the travel industry and outside of hotels, there are really kind of two cloud strategies. You've got the Oracle side, and then you've got the Salesforce side, where you just kind of like, hey, they've got the platform, but they aren't necessarily providing all the apps and all the infrastructure, things like that. So they're doing that. Or you can just, you can go to Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure for platform, but they aren't really tying it all together. So the gap with Oracle, and where I think there's a huge opportunity for a forward-looking hotel group, is to figure out how to provide that Salesforce-style platform for hotels from a PMS thing, where you can start developing. How do you plug in modules and have an app exchange or app store to be able to tie into this platform? That
I think
could
one of
be
the
a
greatest.
good thing.
I remember back in 2009, I think would be the more notable year versus 08 in high tech.
Yeah.
And I was walking around the floor very frustrated with the Springer Millers, the Oracles, the Micros, the Microsofts, and everybody, because everybody they talked to, if you were talking about a functionality, we're building it. We're going to put that into our system. Well, why can't you just plug in with those guys literally one aisle over, and I'm pointing, they already have it working. Okay. And they said that if you will let them, they'll let you do this. And they're like, no. We want to keep the integrity of our program, blah, 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 blah.
Right. That is important, but it's, and it's the difference.
But look who succeeded out of this conversation, out of this. Salesforce, who was locked tight for a while. Salesforce was only Salesforce. You were in the system or you weren't. As Salesforce decided that they were going to integrate with
the
things
app exchange was
faster.
key. Yep.
Yeah, and when that happened, Salesforce went from a not niche, but a definitely funneled usability to oh my god, CRM relationship on any platform for any business. I mean, it changed its perspective, or people's perspective on it changed because all of a sudden it plugged into this, it connected to that, it talked to this, and I just look at all the lost opportunities that happened back then when they could have the operating systems and so forth that kept it so cloistered. And if they had just had that early advice and said, you know what, we're open season to deal and dialogue with people. Let's see what we can do to make this whole function work better by working with those who've already built this stuff. And then if they were even willing to do it, it would have been an astronomical API interface cost. Right. Because God knows they weren't going to go over and pay for it themselves. They're going to make you pay for it, but they'll sure resell it to somebody else.
Now the world is now platforms that you can bolt onto. That is how everything goes, even with containers and things like Docker, things like that. That's how code is getting written. That is the future, and the hotel industry is considerably further back. Now, Oracle, again, is doing great things on the full-blown enterprise type thing, and yes, that is a good thing if you're a Marriott and you're the real big guys. But again, and in fairness to Oracle, they don't want to go, they are not a long-tail company at all, sort of thing. And that's fine. That's their business model, and more power to them, and that's great.
Wind it up and let it go, and let somebody else be putting things on it.
The long tail guys, though, that's really, really interesting in the hotel space. So, okay, another one. This is a real quick. U.S. hotel demand hits all-time high.
Dun, dun, dun,
that's good news. That's really good news, and it should be going up, up more. Sort of thing. So I don't think we have any more to discuss on that, do we?
No, it's pretty much all. And again, I guess from our earlier prognostications at the beginning of the year, we thought about by now we would begin to see the crumbling base, and we haven't.
Well, there are two crumbling base of what? Just core business,
record high RevPAR, record high occupancy, record high ADR.
Okay, occupancy. Yeah, U.S. occupancy is tailing on. Now this is demand, so demand is up. Occupancy is actually off. So occupancy is down. It's starting. I've got to look at the third quarter numbers, but it's coming down maybe a point below last year. Now again, you have more supply coming on and things like that. So that's not necessarily great. The ADR increases aren't quite churning the way they were, so they're starting to moderate. So third quarter isn't looking that well. It was looking like it wasn't going to be very good, and now it's kind of resurging a little bit. So we'll have to see. I mean, the impact on Houston, I think you're going to see some really weird stuff because you have hotels that are being taken, in some cases offline. Same thing with, with Florida. Does that inventory come out? That if inventory comes out, then demand can go up.
Sure, it's going to give you an artificial number, though.
Normally, you would have this sort of situation where all of a sudden price gouging starts really getting out of hand. That is being very discouraged. I mean, one of the greatest things yesterday was JetBlue came out and said all flights outbound from Florida $99. Which I thought
and Southwest did that, and
Southwest did it. American, I think, or Delta
did it, but Delta was still running $3.99.
Oh, they were, but okay. In fairness to Delta, I don't know if you saw one of these guys on Twitter posted, looking basically like what was going on with flights. There were 3 flights headed into San Juan yesterday when Irma was bearing down on it. JetBlue bailed, American bailed, Delta kept going. Yeah. And you've got to, I should go post the link, but the guy has his little Twitter post, and you see the weather, and I mean it's already in the east side of Puerto Rico is covered by Irma, and there are little gaps with bands and things like that, and this freaking Delta flight went between two of them, right between the bands, gets in there, turns around, and less than an hour, came in with 30 people. And I don't know who the 30 people were who were going in, but I did the same thing. I flew into Hurricane Rita in Houston to help evacuate my family. Very interesting when you're flying into that. But they got 180 people out and basically curved through the gap between an outer band and the core of the storm. And that's
you know that pilot was not letting it on autopilot. You know he had his hand on the tiller.
hey, the whole team of the weather forecasters and the people on the ground. I mean, that is where you go, okay, commercial aviation's a great thing, and it's a great company because they didn't do and I'm not saying American and JetBlue should have gone in there and done it, right? Just because,
no, gosh, no,
and maybe that could have.
Maybe there was one more plane right after him, but they shut it off saying you can't hit the window.
Well, those two were ahead of Delta actually before they turned back. They turned back before, but anyway, they you look at that and go, wow. Now it could have turned out very badly too, and Delta could have been as idiots. But these guys are professional; they know what they're doing, and that's a great thing. So,
okay.
Any others that you'd like to talk about on these?
Okay. The Amazon Microsoft tending to agree. There was one. I actually had one that I was going to throw in there that it's more of a tech head one. Here, let me take this over. And that is, it was an article. Drop this in. And this was for snippets. There's a functionality where people go over and say, hey, look, okay, so voice is taking over. We had in the last show and the week show before that, there was some stats from NPR about the amount of percentage of people that are using voice-activated search and also voice activation in those that how they don't want to retreat from it. So they want to expand the usage of it and all. And people don't often understand the mechanics associated with what does that mean exactly? How is it that the result is being given verbally? What are they looking for? And this is the featured snippet.
Yep.
Right. And for those who don't know, and this article points it out, is how to highlight what it is you want to have said basically about your product based on the query results of your content. And so this is the kind of rubber meets the road concept of it, where if you follow these guidelines or work with your agency or those who are handling this for you to make sure that your rich media snippets are correct, your schema is correct, but more importantly, your snippet research is right. Then when you are queried and you are a high result factor that's going to get brought back into the answer, it actually says the right thing about you. It'll refer to you in the proper context. So it was just one of those like, look, this is an answer to a question. I'm going to probably feature on the Monday Marketing Minute as well, where that's voice snippets are good. Yeah, hugely important because, again, I think people go, oh yeah, voice is coming, and what do you do about it? And I mean, most of this stuff is coming, through algorithmic review of the websites. Trying to figure out. And so if you have your telephone number highlighted. So if somebody does a local search and says, I'm not going to say, okay, Google, because my Google Home will take off. But, and whoops, and it's trying to. So it really listens. It listens so closely to what you're saying. It's a little unnerving. It's like Burger King, their ad that just went so bad. Remember when we covered that where Burger King tried to throw in their ad, okay, Google, find out, whatever it was. It's like, people were really pissed about that. People don't want you to mess with their stuff when it comes to that kind of thing. But
but the things with, somebody just says call whatever, or what are the hours? If you have a food and beverage outlet, what are the hours of it? Those are really basic. It's all the things that you have somebody calling you on the phone for, right? Who's saying, hi, I just have a quick question, right? And it's like, gosh, those would probably be the things that you could really ask your voice assistant, because why do you have to dial a number, connect to somebody at the hotel or thing to get this basic answer, which they generally have? That's exactly the kind of utility that voice search provides. So
Eric dropped in on our chat line to say, Robert, it was great to see you this week at the 90th event. Eric, you're more than welcome. Actually, I'm trying to convince Robert to hang around since he came up with the topic list. Anyway, if you want to jump on the chair here, it's just been Robert and I having a fun time going down rabbit holes. I have to step away because I'm got to go over and take care of some stuff.
Oh, you wimp.
I know, right? Just that's silly little stuff. But if Eric, you want to grab a chair, just indicate and we can go over and pop you in as a co-host if you'd like to for a while. But the other one I did want to point out that you had thrown into the list that I was deciding to put in or not. I didn't because, and this was your 10 item one, ideal distribution balance between OTA and direct channels. I was going to put it in only because I was going to kind of dog on it a little bit. Yeah, because it was superficial clickbait in my mind.
Almost a lot of these are. I mean, boy, this is a big topic, but people are only scratching the surface.
It's not even scratching the surface. I would say it's bouncing off the surface because I mean, because for these guys to say, oh, an optimum relationship between OTA and direct channels must be maintained.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Obvious, first-time caller, long-time listener. It's like, yeah, you're needing to balance this. What particularly you're doing to balance? Yes. How?
Good question.
How?
Why?
Yeah.
Why and how? Why and how are two most important questions.
Quantify your OTA strategy. Say, using your e-commerce channels to optimize when best to offer deals. Doing group deals when you have group demand. And I'm sitting here going, this is a very duh article. Like, of course you're going to do things like this. There's a certain thing we've talked about on the shows before that if you're going to do group business, there is a different window of opportunity and a different marketing logic to that segmentation than it is for transient build for either long-term or short-term pickups.
And a very long advance window, very, very high cost of distribution, which again isn't factored into most anything when you get into a revenue management.
There is no revenue cost associated with the group build, and also the focus that you have to create for them is actually staggering.
Now, one thing that I thought was very interesting, and a lot of people denied it at HSMAI, which I thought was a little odd, that two individuals told me that the sales group, right, hates the digital marketing group. They want nothing to do with it, which I thought was very, and two unsolicited individuals kind of made that comment in passing. They go, yeah, they really don't want anything to do with digital marketing. And I thought, oh, that's horrible, because that's how I started out. And it's like, wait a second, that is a hugely important, important way to make your salespeople more relevant, to provide information to your customers, to attract new. I mean, all of that in the group sphere is huge, because you shouldn't. Cvent does some great stuff, but again, it's the OTA intermediary challenge. Do you really want them taking care of everything, and you've just outsourced it? That may be really easy and simple and short-term tactical stuff, but long-term strategy, that may not be the best way to go. So
I wrote an article for agency that would ask me to write an article for it. It ended up not getting published because they asked me for 3,000 words and I gave them 9. So even after scaling it down, but I did have a great discussion. Basically, this topic content as I went through it was the meeting with the digital agency with all the representatives of the property, sales, revenue management, GM, corporate rep, and so forth, and talking in the minds of each of the participants how opinionated and biased they were in that meeting, why the meeting failed. Then I went over and deconstructed in the second article where the history of all that came from, the bitterness and what have you. And one of the things I pointed out in the sales department was department early on, and remember, you lived it through this too, was burdened with this e-commerce crap, because they were the only ones that had the overview of the marketing strategy, because the reservations manager had nothing to do with anything other than handling the channeling of what business was coming to the hotel. And And when it came to the sales, the GM that was operational, and they were the overlord of everything, sales was the only one, and it was counterproductive to them, because they're asking them to handle improving transient business, which was the antithesis of their bonus program, the antithesis of their revenue generation model. And so what are they going to do good for it? Why would they do something like this? So because of that, they were bitterment to it until finally it grew past their ability to control it and turned into its own entity. So maybe that kind of dissension between the sales and them is kind of that, there's a resentment to it. So anyway, the third article was that I talked about optimistic relationships, where sales realizes that they should adopt what e-commerce, now digital marketing, can truly do to amplify their opportunities. And everybody else in that sense, and integrate the revenue management and digital marketing programs together, but to put them together. And to your point, when you're talking about people with the sales teams and so forth, there is still this bitter history of, you know what, digital marketing go fly a kite, because they don't take care of us. They're not doing anything for us. They're just worried about transient. They're worried about whatever. They're the shiny. And
in many cases, that is true. Sort of thing where some of the marketing don't understand, they don't have background, and they don't care, and they're just like, let's get rid of that low-rated group stuff, and we're just going to go do this and you're like, whoa, hang on, a lot of this group stuff can be a very, very critically important base of business to which you don't have enough demand, and you don't have the tools to go aggregate enough demand to fill your hotel if you don't have group in there handling this stuff. So,
Eric just asked if he could. He can't join the screen today. I thought he said he can. That's a shame. Jeremiah, I know you're out there. Hey, by the way, Jeremiah, you just wrote a book. I know, because you put my really crappy terrible picture I gave you in it, and I never could get you a new one. But he wrote a really good book, Jeremiah. 10 to talk about the subject, exactly spooky, interesting. Jeremiah, if you have a few minutes on, you had asked me last week if you wanted to join the show quickly to kind of talk about your new book, the Synergistic Strategy Program, and so forth. And Robert, I think you've met Jeremiah before or spoken with him. He had written a really excellent book on how to increase direct channel by 300% in 30 days. And at first, when I started reading it, and Jeremiah, you've heard me say this to you already, this is cute. But then he started getting to the practical day by day of exactly what to do that day, like day 1, day 5, day 12, every day doing something. And it was very good. It was actually mostly excellent approachability as to content development and strategy of what to do with those contents. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I was like, man, this is great. And he was going to put together a second book to it. And so we've been talking, and I have been the more than silent trilogy of this, because I've been so moving from Dallas to Florida to get in front of a hurricane and all that kind of fun stuff. Been kind of out of sight, out of mind. But Jeremiah, if you want to jump on the show here real quick, that's the link to the book for people if they're interested. It's a digital book as well on Amazon. Uh-huh. You see it in the chat window if you want to.
That's great.
Really, it's a great read, great product, great content. But Jeremiah, if you want to, you're more than welcome to.
And he this is a gutsy guy. He put Lauren's picture on the cover of
and
the
it's a
book.
crappy picture of me. Which, okay, to be fair, there's not really a good picture.
I don't think I've ever seen. Have I seen you in a tie before? I don't know.
Yeah, early days when I was like trying to impress you and stuff. It's
I got a headshot with a tie too. So.
I couldn't get my headshot.
Jeremiah, made a great, a great point on here. One of my clients had 2.1 million piece of business from an online funnel. Absolutely. And you start looking at weddings, destination weddings, catering, all those various aspects. You're close. Yes, we don't have many standards on this show, but
very few standards, but being close, at least from the waist up, is
waist
kind of
up,
a requirement.
Yeah.
You do the broadcaster dress. I mean, you can be party on the bottom, but there's got to be business up top.
Yeah. And if you decide to just dress on the top, please remain seated until the flight is landed. Until the seatbelt light is extinguished. So. Anyway, and Eric posted. There's a video about the history of HSMAI, which I don't know if you've seen. Lauren, they played at the 90th anniversary.
I did. They finally posted it on social. I thought it was a great play.
It was very, it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed the photography of it.
At that meeting or at the dinner, actually they had I don't know if anybody filmed it, but they had Roger Dow and Bruce Himmelstein do just kind of. Laurel and Hardy type, and that's a bad example. Anyway, whatever you want to call the two, very, very good, humorous, sort of thing of going through it. But I thought the most powerful stuff was they had Barb Bowden and Dorothy Dowling, get up and really talk about women in the industry and kind of the progress, but still lack of that to really drive.
See, for me, I mean, it really was when I made the choice. Literally the night of before I was leaving, first thing in the morning. It was Monday night. And was looking at the timetable. It's like, I know I'm not going to make it back on a flight if I try to come back on Friday, because I had to include the Americas Board meeting on it for Thursday and Friday as well. And, this is not secret information to it or not, but Americas Board is going through this transition process of changing the charter with the Foundations Council as well. And I have not been in chorus with them on that. I've been a dissenting voice to it. And I really felt bad because this was the first practical application of what went through and passed by popular vote. I was the only dissenting vote, I think. So I really wanted to see it work. I wanted to see it in action to be wrong. And I feel bad that I wasn't able to be there for it to see it in its fruition, because, it was one of these things where we're part, you, me, Rich, Tim, and everything else, is because we want to improve our industry via the HSMAI vehicle, because it is that vehicle that it was built for. And I felt that it was taking different directions and so forth. So I really wanted to see its success. I wanted to be wrong. And not to mention the dinner festivities of Wednesday night, the digital counseling retreat, which is getting that brain power in a room is absolutely awesome. I love having those people in the room talking, and I'm jealous of you for having been able to make it and for me not being able to make it. And Tim's still there. Tim should be wrapping up and heading out of it.
You could have made it. You just prioritized your own personal belongings and materialistic sort of things, and
No, my wife,
your
Yeah,
spouse,
my
and
wife.
all that sort of stuff over HSMAI, which,
I know.
does
Yep.
HSMAI
That's the
really
price.
want people like that? I
know,
don't
right?
know. I
don't-
really don't know.
I think my loyalty should be now in question. I think obviously I have not the right priorities in place for these type of decisions to be made. It puts a shade on everything I'm thinking of. But yes, Jeremiah, are you ready to join to keep Robert company for a few minutes?
Lauren is desperate to leave at this point.
No. I'm not desperate to leave, but I know that with what we have left to do and so forth, I don't want us to get into a crunch time. We're going to get bad wind. Probably late afternoon is at the earliest we start getting the tropical storm stuff, and by tomorrow evening we'll be into the hurricane stuff through Sunday. So what do you want to talk about? Well, Robert, we can guide that. Robert will be your guide and your host for Talkabilities. Obviously, from your perspective, you can definitely hype up a little bit of what you've done with the book and some practicalities. Robert is at no shortage of topic and discussion.
I'll talk. If somebody asks me a question on something I know nothing about, I will provide an opinion. But I will tell you, I know nothing about that first. So
I'm going to go over and invite you, Jeremiah, to come join in on it. So you can have it.
Actually, one thing I will, because the HSMAI guys probably, and if you skip in the show notes, people won't. The topic for the conference in February is it starts with strategy.
I like it.
I think that, and I authored, I still have another chapter that I have to finish this weekend for the CHDM. How are you doing on that, Lauren?
I had all mine done. Yeah, I had 2.5 quarters.
Shit.
I have all 5 done. Yeah, dude, you're behind me now because mine's done. I had 5 of them. I had 5.
Yeah,
I had 5 topics. All right, so boom.
I've got 3 really busy, demanding clients.
Oh yeah. I had.
Offshore.
Well, I don't have to be busy. I had the juicy topic of programmatic advertising, and try to keep that within a 2,000 word document.
Yeah.
There's
2,000 word limit. I didn't know that.
No, it is the way it was told to me was try to keep it within 3 to 4 pages. So 500.
Oh, really?
Page, and I'm
nobody told me. See, they need to tell me.
Maybe they just told me that. Maybe they just told me that, not you.
No, the opening chapter, actually, it's interesting that they decided that. I took a little bit of attack because it was supposed to be like about distribution kind of history. I kind of blew out this history, which is actually really pretty good. I went back to the beginning, first hotel to all these different milestones and tech milestones too. I thought that worked out really well. But then the section of it, I wound up kind of focusing on strategy, like bludgeoning the thing. So we'll see. It might not make the review process.
Hey, how many people talk bad about me so I can make a short list? What dark list do I have to make? Who's bad-mouthed me the worst? Just tell me who it is right now on the live show.
Okay, wait.
Besides you.
Wait. You want to short list the ones who didn't bad-mouth you? Maybe that's a little...
You know what? That's right. Give me just a short list of the ones that didn't do it, because that is the shorter list, right?
I got to think about that. I'll have to get back to you.
Yeah, I think you're probably one of the leaders of the bad mouthing club. It's like, do I got stories to tell?
No, you were missed. Although there were a couple little backhanded compliments about, hey, but we stayed on time.
Exactly. You can only imagine what I do to the Americans Board people too. Hey, let's see. I'm sorry. I'm back. Sorry, I got kicked off. Interesting, because we sent you the link.
Okay. Maybe we just wrap. I don't really. I mean, I could talk about a ton of things, but I think you need to go, and I certainly have a couple of things to. I'm going to start finishing my second chapter, which is only about direct intermediaries and meta search, and I've got just a ton of stuff that I got to pull together.
Reach out to Dean Schmidt too, formerly Derbysoft, now with where do you go to? Not Revenate. Maybe Revenate or Review Pro.
Oh, Review Pro. Yeah, that's right. Review Pro.
Barcelona, based out of Barcelona. Yeah, brilliant, and of course with MetaSearch, spot on.
Well, now owned by Shiji out of Shanghai. So,
Shanghai, and then he has some interesting stats on some stuff, so he might give you some insights on some things too, which would be pretty cool. Jeremiah says he also has a call at the top of the hour, so it looks like we're just going to be short on time with it.
Sounds good.
For everybody for the show, thank you so very much for joining us. For all of our co-hosts that didn't get to join us, that don't have a good excuse, we're just I'll put them in the show notes. How you guys, like that.
And we
out
can
or something.
see so much better the show is when they aren't around. I think that was
yeah.
just in my quick assessment. I mean, I'll have to
see. I can't go that way because
it's
I'm
hard
thankful.
when I'm part of it, but it sure seemed that way.
See, I can't go that way only because, one, I appreciate them every time that they're here. And two, I think the audience would appreciate that I'm not the only one doing the show. So I have to go over and say, no, Robert, I have to disagree with you. I think it's always great that they are on the show.
They know that I am completely just busting their chops on that.
Of course. And I
highly value their
participation here. All right. What's it?
Well, not so much Ed. Okay, we all agree not so much Ed. But
not so much Ed.
Stuart. Oh, yeah. Tim.
Yeah, definitely. Holly, and then Tim, Mr. Philosophical, no, but So with all that in mind, Robert, if people want to find you and learn more about what it is that you do, other than the Skift articles that you tend to be getting out right now,
they called me twice. I was also in T News too. So I
hate the haters.
On really weird, different topics too, which was.
Well, that's how much of a source you are. That's how much of a source.
Well, yeah. One was on Dara going to Uber. One was on mobile. The mobile apps, and the third one was what was it? On PMSs and enterprise platforms. So, who knew?
Where do they find you?
So, anyway, at Robert K. Cole on social channels, and of course at rockcheetah.com for all other things.
Thank you so very much, and thank you again for the topics on this. For those who would like to play back this show or any show of ours out of all 109 of them, you can go to hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/live, where you'll find the links to all the archives in addition to this quarter's shows. We try to keep all the shows live on that one page for the quarter, and then every time the quarter resets, we wipe them out and start all over again so they don't get this long streaming page of stuff. But if you want to watch this show in particular, you can go to hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/109, which is show 109, and which you'll get all of the links to the ones we discussed and didn't get to discuss today, as well as the timestamps of all the times that we did take care of the topics we did talk about. So with that in mind, if you want to contribute any content to the show, you can reach us at Lauren at laurengray.com, Lauren@laurengray.com, or Lauren at hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com. Either one will work. And send us any of your topics, and you can join us anytime. We have a chance for 6 chairs. We only use 2 today, so there's always space for somebody to join us if you can. And with that, Mr. Robert, I will hopefully be able to say hi to you sometime next week, but I will be reaching out to you to make sure that, if anything, you are the keeper of the keys for the show next week. So if I can't get it live, you are the continuity. So I'll send over the ability for you to kick the show live and get it started if I can't do so on my own.
And you better send instructions on how to do YouTube and Facebook and all the others. And I'm not going to do that.
Don't for you, just get it live and running, and it'll get recorded, and I'll push it out afterwards. We'll just have to go with the reduction in it. So we're good. Okay. Robert, thank you very much for making it. I know that you had a busy schedule as always, and for those of our co-hosts, terrible service to you guys, but know completely why, given the circumstances. We always just appreciate when you can make it. And for all of those that watch the show, thank you so much for doing so. And with that, we will call an end to the show. Mr. Robert, I hope to talk to you soon.
Great. Talk to you later, Lauren.